So what we have here is the instruction manual for the TMU3 universal D-bit grinder, or commonly known as a tool and cutter grinder also. So what we've found out is that the actual manual itself is pretty much useless. It's kind of a cut down version to the Deckel manual, and if you want to get yourself a manual for this machine, if you have one of these, it would be advisable to get the Deckel manual. So what we're going to have a look at is the actual machine itself, starting with this top area here, because this is one part of it, and then we'll look at the bottom, as a second part, and then the head part itself. So as you can see here, we've got our control. So what this actually does is move the cutter in and out. Now on top of that, there's a plug that fits in there, and as you can see, it's a hex screw or hex head bolt that just kind of snugs down there. Doesn't have to be done up tight. What this is actually used for is to jam up the shaft that's running through here, because if you want to take off the cutter, you've got to be able to turn that, and if you don't lock this, the whole thing just keeps turning on you and you can't take the actual cutter head off. And the way you do that is wind it all the way forward, and then grabbing a piece of suitable sized rod or a screwdriver or something, you can actually put that down into the machine like that, and now it locks up that section, and you can actually undo the head off the machine. So by adjusting the end knob here, which is the scaled incrementation on this machine, and the scale is 0.01 millimeters per turn, per division I should say. As you can see here the head is moving in. Now that's all the way in, so I'll just wound that to the first zero mark coming up. If I try to put the rod down now, it doesn't go anywhere. It's actually hitting the top of the shaft. So it's important that you wind this so the head is all the way out, and then you'll be able to put the shaft down, lock the rod running through here, and you'll be able to get the head off. Now the reason I'm bringing that up is that a few people have found that they couldn't get a rod down there, or a screwdriver, or a suitable size screwdriver down there to lock up the shaft, and it's all because of positioning here. So in the case of this particular one, you've got to wind the head almost all the way out, and then you can actually have that access. The next knob along is actually a stop, so it stops this shaft being wound all the way out and all the way back. So it's just a stop in there, and you shouldn't touch that or have to touch that at all. This is a lock, so once you've got your depth set, you can actually lock the shaft down by screwing that down, and it won't move. It's locked in that position. Now that could kind of come in handy if you're coming in to do a cut into material, and you just want to come in a certain way. You can then lock the machine down and then just keep repeating the process. The next one along is your oiler, and it speaks for itself. It just allows the oil to come down onto the shaft and lubricate the shaft itself. Now what we've got here is the cutting disc, in this case, and also attached to the top of this is the guard, and attached to the guard is a diamond dresser. Now that diamond dresser is not for these type of wheels. So if you have this type of wheel attached to your machine, then that's what you're actually using this dresser for, is to surface the face along here and to keep that square and that edge sharp, or the inside edge sharp as well. Here we've got different styles of wheels, you kind of got a cup, a dish type situation, and then you've got that style there, which is just the front edge. So depending on the type of job and the type of cutting you're doing, but basically it depends on the type of wheel surface that you may want to use. We're looking at the bottom section now, and we have a few controls here. Again, we have an incrementation for this shaft to be moved. Now this one actually moves the shaft back towards this side of the machine, whereas the top one is used to move this top shaft or the cutting head out towards the item being cut. So again, both are 0.01 millimeter incrementations, and you can basically see here that if I move the head unit down, you can see the head unit moving back this way, as I turn. Now this whole shaft assembly coming along here also rotates, so as you can see, lock that up tight enough, you can see that it rotates, and that allows the action of just grinding in, and then you can adjust, grind in, adjust, and do it that way. And this knob here, when you wind it in, will allow you to set a stop. So once you've got material in here and you bring it up to the face of the grinder, if you don't set that, then you can actually keep travelling too far in, depending on how you got this set. Say we had something set up like that, and we didn't want it to come that far in, then we can wind the knob in, and it sets a stop. So now I can adjust it into the position where I want it to stop at. So for that arc of rotation. Now on this end we also have a lock for this shaft that's going across. Now when you buy these machines, you will have a light attached to this position here. The problem I had with it is that you could never get an angle coming in at the correct position where you got light on the tool that you're putting up against the grinder and trying to see what's happening. So what I've done is taken the light off. What I'm going to do there is make up a post and attach a vacuum system to that post so it can catch the grit, etc., that comes off the cutting wheel as it's making contact with the material you're cutting. Now that particular thread there is a 10mm fine thread. So if you want to do that yourself, you'll have to make up a vertical rod, and you'll have to have that type of thread.